Now, before I get into it, a big shout out to the legends at MyConstruct. If you're still managing your jobs, contracts, client comms across text messaging and spreadsheets, there is a better way. MyConstruct is built by Australian builders for Australian builders, and it is the best platform out there as a construction software. Jake and the team are working on some really exciting stuff that we've got to have a sneak peek at, but go and check them out. It is myconstruct.com. You can get a 30-day trial, and the guys there are absolute legends, and they're taking the Australian building industry by storm. So go and check out their platform. They are very, very cool. And thank you once again, MyConstruct, for being the proud sponsors of this podcast. Good morning and welcome to the Good Builder podcast. I have the lovely Emily back on. And if you listened to the last episode, Emily, you actually inspired me. You talked about, how you gauge if the home and land package or whatever you're providing a client is the right purchase for them. And you do that try and do it before the valuation or giving them the information by looking at existing property. Now, I found a little website for you.
Great.
And I found it on my favorite platform, Reddit. Once again, I hang out on there all day, all the weirdos. I know.
Yeah. You own shares in Reddit now, don't you?
I would love to. If the Reddit owners want to give me some shares, I'll spruik you to the moon because I love your crazy platform and your freedom of speech and things like that.
I know. It's like an uncensored Facebook.
And you know what? And the other thing too is you got these wildly passionate people on there, which I love. And there's this guy, I've sent him a message. He didn't message me back, but you know how we all have weird names. So I think mine's something like, Spiky Porcupine or something like that. 69. And
I wouldn't hit you back either.
would
no.
a username like that?
No, thank you. It sounds odd.
Okay, sweet. Well, so what I found, Emily, by one of these crazy dudes, and I'll show some vision. We'll drop this one on YouTube because I'm going to show some vision of this platform.
Beautiful.
Is this awesome platform that this developer on there created called Dropbee.
Cool. Okay.
Okay. So last episode, you were talking about how you look at the valuations and what's happening in the world of real estate, existing property, and then
how it ties into to the house and land or land acquisition. Yep.
And so what this platform does, what this gentleman's done, who I should get his username, probably another funny one, but he's built a live dashboard, dropbee.au, price drops of existing real estate in Australia in real time.
That's handy.
So if you look, for example...
And he'll be a busy little bee at the moment.
He is. He's not just a drop bee. He's a busy bee. And if you have a look at this, there are 1,668 property price drops across Queensland right now, all mapped on this platform. And you can have a look here at the address and how much it has dropped over the past week.
So are we talking listing prices? Are we talking like the median values versus what's currently? I want to know the analytics of this.
Okay.
Very
we are
cool.
talking the listing pricing, I believe. Not the actual sell price. Let me check my little notes here.
Either way, let's learn about
this. But
this.
I am sure it is custom built price for a job. It is actually, the listing price on these homes.
Jesus, so that's a bit scary.
I know. Have a look at that. So
how much does it tell you that the market was inflated?
Well, this is what I'm asking about.
We all know it's happening, but people just continued to buy and buy and buy. So I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. I want the people that I work with to make money off what they do and all of that kind of stuff. But this has to happen.
I know.
The bubble hopefully has burst.
Yeah. And you know how they're saying like this is the biggest price correction in 40 years is what's sort of in that mainstream media. And that's why I wanted to get you because you're so close to the ground. You look at this stuff all the time. And I wanted to are we having more trouble like getting the finance for these types of properties? Or do you think there has been overinflated prices by real estate agents because times were good and they were just trying to make as much commissions out of
and like it wasn't always,
and I'm not just saying it's just them,
but
supply and demand also.
Yeah, people have to be willing to spend the money, and if people aren't willing to spend the money, then it's not going to sell. It's very different than I think how I think about building a new home. It costs what it costs. Yeah. And you can go to different builders who have different margins or have different scale abilities that have different terms on, product or trades or whatever. But like generally speaking, it costs what it costs. You
get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, correct. And you have people buy a shitty block of land in a shitty location and spend $1 million to build the house. for some reason. And that's fine if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But like, you know, when you look at the pre-established market, it's, I don't know, it had definitely inflated. And in turn, as it inflated, it pushed land prices up to this astronomical rate as well. Then you add in, as that was happening, the issues with, you know, the trades or the infrastructure going in the ground with civil works and things like that obviously created this height again and again and again with land costs as well.
Yeah.
So we're definitely seeing it on all fronts, whether it's pre-established or whether it's, you know, in the land space. But that's one aspect when it comes to this.
Yeah.
The build experience and the build costs, though, are going to where it's going to sit.
Yeah.
So will we push back up? Because, you know, we know intrinsically that the cost of the land, the cost of the build does play into the fact of what it costs to buy pre-established.
Yeah.
They work off each other, right?
Yeah.
So are we going to see hopefully that land? Who knows?
This is why
Vals
I
are
wanted
coming
to
in
pick
short.
your
So
brains.
I think we could have a little, like, don't get me wrong. People are out here on a hope and a prayer that we're going to go back to 2020 costs.
Yeah.
And it's not going to fucking happen.
No.
But will we see some flexibility? And not even, like, this is the thing that's really difficult in the land space. So will we see prices come down? Maybe, possibly. Civil costs are going up and I don't know, there's still a very high demand. They've now pushed $2.4 billion into the new home space. Like, there's lots happening there. But then, you know, we look at it, I don't know, it's hard to, hard to tell.
Oh, it's very...
But will developers now be forced to look at other aspects?
Yeah.
So will they look at contract terms? Will we no longer have all of these blocks being offered out 6 months to 8 months early under unconditional contracts, no finance clauses? So I think it's much greater than just the price drop. It's also going to be the parameters around it for pre-established and for new builds as to what conditions we'll see. You know, if you said back 12, 18 months ago, I wanted to buy a house, I'm putting an offer in lower than what it's listed for, and I'm requesting a contract of sale of my own property and it was accepted, that would have been like, what?
Yeah.
How did you manage that? Like, what piece of shit are you buying? Do you know what I mean? Whereas, reasonably speaking, that's where we're at. Like, that's where we're coming back to. Not for all properties. Don't get me wrong. It's absolute, you know, that there's still different markets for different things that are still going actually quite well.
Yeah.
But for the everyday consensus across the mark, that's what we're seeing now. You know, less people at open homes.
Yeah.
You know, the investor front, obviously, with the capital gains and the negative gearing has lessened the market pool,
100%.
which is a good thing for many people.
Yep.
But in the land space, I think there's going to have to be
a correction.
Maybe, a correction, whether it's price or whether conditions or when they're being sold or what they're allowing or what they're doing. I think it's going to be coming.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. That's what I was wondering. You made the comparison, you know, in the valuation, not comparison, but how you have a look
the
at
draw
things,
in.
you know, last Monday. And then I jumped on Dropbee and I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, Noosa Springs Drive just dropped $1 million. Coolum Beach just dropped $1 million.
When things are $7 million bucks, though.
I know, and that's the thing. You see a lot of that. So that's the other thing, Emily. In that luxury building space, will we see an impact of the drop of real estate and people buying, or because you deal with a few of them, or do the luxury buyers? And I think I'm with you because I can see your face right now. Yeah. No, they want, don't they? They want to build their dream.
Correct.
They want to build their thing. So
100%.
So, for example,
they wouldn't give two shits
if anyone
what's
wants
happening in pre-established.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to drive a home at Noosa Springs Drive and Noosa Heads.
What is he, 5.25 now?
Yeah, it was 6.25 and now it's 5.25 million. It dropped $1 million. And that's why I was wondering, like, what impact would it have? But I do agree with you. I think that if you're going to spend $5.25 million on a house, you just buy a block of land and build what you want if you've got that kind of cash.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people are still very misconstrued as to, you know, there's two spaces in this market, right? So there's like, we're talking this under 1 million price point, which in many instances it could be, you know, cheaper to buy a 50-year-old house or even a 30-year-old house in a similar area, a slightly bigger block, whatever it might be, than what it would be to build something new in a new estate.
Yeah.
Will which perform better? It really depends on the market, but you know, there's been some heavy performance on new builds, 100%, but there also has been on pre-established. But you know, there's this divide of being like, oh, I can get it for 150 grand cheaper. You're like, yeah, you definitely can. but you're also paying stamp duty, even if you're a first home buyer, because of the price of it. You also have a 60-year-old house.
Yeah.
Again, that's up to you. Yeah, that could be the case. But if it's in your affordability, then good on you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to say one is better than the other for every single person that exists.
Yeah.
It's what's your individual situation. Do you want a house that you have to reno? Yeah. Do you want a house that's, whatever it might be? You're going to have to rip out the kitchen in 12 months because it's fugly.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No one's ever used fugly on the podcast. I love that.
It's one of my faves.
Thank you.
Good old fugly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's one of those situations where it's, what is your personal preference here? What is your goals? What are you aiming for? And what does your budget dictate? Because some people's budget does not dictate a new build and a new block of land and, full turnkey, whatever it might be. It fits these older areas in the outer skirts that still probably are going to get a good performance. That's fine.
Yeah.
But in the other space, like, as we've talked about, I'm definitely hitting into this acreage world at the moment where, we're doing $1.6, $1.7, $1.8 million house land packages that neighboring properties are selling for $2.4 million. Prime example for you, I have one that is the case. So do you know what I mean?
Lucky dude and woman
it's one of
and
those,
whoever they are.
But like, it's not just the money aspect that has drawn them. These people have that $2.4 million to spend, and that's great. But they want to pick what they want. They want to pick their tiles. They want to pick the reg ceiling. They want to have this. And like, in the grand scale of things, $1.8 million is actually not very much money anymore.
No.
For me, lots of money. No. I'm not saying that's not the case. No. But for how much money is available in this market, it's not much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what's really interesting too? So I'm looking at this drop B and I was just listening to you talk, right? Mm-hmm. You were talking about the luxury market and then you're talking like sub 1 million kind of people.
Even luxury market's a bit of a push, to be honest, as in like, what defines luxury? We've had this conversation before.
According to this drop B thing, those homes under kind of 1 million are the ones that are going up and the ones over 2 to 3 million are coming down. So that kind of tells me,
where is the first home buyer going to buy?
There you go. Yeah. And there's still a lot of demand in that space and they're able to get increased prices. So anyway, I don't want to draw a long bow, but we talked about land. Will it impact land in that sort of space?
I think it's going to just impact us across the board, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be it's been talked about now for years.
Yeah.
And, everyone has a different opinion and this and whatever. And now people are throwing out recession and all of these other things that come from it. And, there's people sitting on their hands going, oh, I'm waiting for my bargain to come. That's fine if you already own property. I know some big buyers agents who are literally like running business as normal, but have kept 10, 15 million aside for when it comes.
Wow.
Going, I'm going to fucking clean up. And that's great. Good on you, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, they're still moving forward regardless, but they're making sure that they can do something should it come. That's reasonably speaking what we need to be doing. But unfortunately, for the people who are desperate to get into their own home, who just want to be able to have something of their own and not be paying rent forever, is it going to be them that clean up here? Is it going to be them that achieve these really great things from a down?
Yeah.
Probably statistically, no.
Yeah. No, definitely. Well, if we look, I want to look state by state. If we have a look, Emily, and it's got this little graph here, which here we go. So it has drop percentage
versus 9 million from 28.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And it has all these wild stats. So it sort of shows.
This is cool.
Yeah, percentage per state of what's dropping and what's rising. So if you look at New South Wales, about 85% drops. Oh, it's pretty much standard across the board, isn't it? Like the red's the drops, the green is the increases or rises in property across real estate. Victoria has probably seen a bit more rises than...
I was literally just about to say, my expectation is Victoria will rise.
There you go. Yeah, you're right.
Victoria has been like this one that's been this really low performer for years now. And it's always been the space of, once we start to see us come to our cap in Queensland, particularly, and WA, we will start to see an influx back into Victoria. And it's literally exactly what has happened for sure. Every man and their dog now is back in Victoria.
Yeah.
Even rural Victoria.
Yeah. It's happening, isn't it, down there?
Huge.
Yeah. And if you look at all
South
SAs,
Australia,
pretty similar. ACT is pretty small, but, all politicians live there, so we won't talk. No one's moving there. Tasmania is such a small country. And Northern Territory, which I never look at.
Neither.
This is an interesting market. And I've actually got a builder coming on, but
Cool.
Yeah,
for Northern
for
Territory.
Northern Territory to have a
'Cause
chat
it's a
about
whole different world to
what's
build up
going on
there.
out there. But yeah, this website, it's just very interesting to have a look
So
at.
dropb.au.
And it's really interesting because I think what you can do, and I might do this, Em, and we'll do it together, is I'm going to get all the ones that price drop and we'll map it. We'll have a look at where all they're dropping. And it looks to me like it's all these luxury areas like Noosa. And then you look at the practical first-time buyer.
This is what gets me though. So even though they've dropped, some of them that I've looked at recently for, like potential purchase has dropped in price, but they're still like 40% more than what they were bought for a few years ago. So like, do you know what I mean? Yes, they went out on high heavens to go, let's keep the market strong. The realtors are like, yeah, I can definitely get this price for it.
Yeah.
Because it's X amount more than what you've paid for it. So don't get me wrong. Uplift is still there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not like these, some though, some have just overpaid through the fucking roof, to be honest. And are now, in these positions that they're like, I'm going to have to sell this to cut even or less because I just cannot afford it. That's also what's happening when we talk about like the mortgage stress that is occurring now. So, we have people who have bought these stunning blocks of land, a year ago or whatever it might have been, and no longer can afford the build that they want on it. So they've made money on the land. They're going to sell the land for, 300 grand more, and they're going to move further out and buy cheaper land and still build. So that's because they know they cannot get what they want otherwise. And they'll just be in debt stress. So that's a conversation I've had. Well. Yeah. Many conversations of people being like, you know what? I actually want to do the opposite. I'm not upgrading. I'm just going to move further out, take the equity that I've got, and I'm going to live a more comfortable life. I think everyone thinks about this home ownership as like this aspirational, bigger, better, more journey.
Doesn't always have to be.
It doesn't always have to be. And you can that's what I did. I was like, you know what? I don't want to be in dire financial stress. I'm going to move further out. I'm going to buy a property and have not all of these luxuries that working in this industry I would have loved to have. But like
one day you will though.
Yeah, one day, sure. I'll be like a 50-year-old who looks like I'm 80 if I'm still alive. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
you will.
It's one of those things that I think
they'll kick me off the podcast by then. You'll be running.
Yeah. We'll be like holograms by that point. But like this aspirational journey, like don't get me wrong, there are still people out there who are like looking to upgrade, but we have definitely come to a point now in the property market that people are downgrading.
Yeah, wow.
For sure, because they cannot manage the financial stress.
Yeah, I saw a stat the other day. I think it was...
And good on them for recognizing it.
Yeah.
Just a side note. I think everyone feels very embarrassed by that.
No.
And that's the kind of sentiment around, oh, well, actually, we've maxed out our mortgage and we know we've made some money and we just cannot afford this. And that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what would you rather? Recognize this now and do something about it?
Yeah.
Or come to the point of foreclosure?
Yeah.
And you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, good on you for taking a step back from this and recognizing the position.
Yeah.
And going, let's do something about it to better our situation.
Yeah. I think I saw a stat to your point, Em, that was 1 in 3 Australians are suffering some type of mortgage stress.
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
But like,
nothing
again, this isn't my
about.
forte in any means of the word or in the industry, but what happens when you're under financial stress? Everything happens. Terrible things happen.
Your
depression, anxiety, family life.
Ripple effect shit that we always talk about.
Increase in domestic violence under financial duress.
Oh, yeah.
All of these things happen as a result of that. That's much beyond just the everyday, let's talk about building houses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But they play hugely into each other.
Yeah.
And it brings me back to my fact.
Bring that up.
And like, what's interesting, like, so when I have conversations with people, I literally have the conversation of, okay, so like, what are you wanting, willing, and able to spend?
Yeah.
Because just because you can doesn't mean you want to or you should.
Yeah.
So like, let's come to a figure and I can tell you whether we can meet that. And if we can't, then sure, let's talk about going up to something slightly higher should it need to. But people just go, this is my pre-approval amount. I'm going to take it all out.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys are 25 with no kids. You plan on having no kids forever?
Yeah.
Are you planning on working 80 hours a week forever?
Yeah, because you're not going to have them.
Because, not me. That's not what I'd be aiming for.
Yeah.
And that's not financial advice. That's just,
life advice.
Have we thought about this?
I loved all the
points you
bring up. And you know what? Like, I think that's a discussion we need to have. We do talk a lot about price and, the main purpose of my podcast was to show you what's going on up here. And you brought up some great points, but I have had a few conversations with some really good builders and really good architects, actually. And they are questioning the way we live in Australia and do we need to always go bigger is better?
Why do we have such big houses? Yeah, why do we have such big houses for? And like, I think people have the expectation for me that I want like this high-end luxury architectural, like, I love designing these type of houses with clients. I love, getting them into their dream home that's within that financial capacity. I'm not like that at all, to be honest. I'm not like that at all. I just look at it and go like, do I need, like most people, so statistically, right? Most people want 3 living areas. What are we doing in 3 living areas? And like, this isn't a bash on that or whatever it might be. For me, I have a 1 living area house. Yeah. Because we can sit together.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yes, we don't have a playroom, so our lounge room's full of toys.
Yeah.
Great.
Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, do we need, whatever that might be? But when like on acreage anyway, the average house that people are wanting is like 350 to 450 square meters.
Yeah.
And we're having people with no kids at 50 years old going, I want a 450 square meter house just for resale.
You'd be calling cooey from one end to the other.
Yeah. I was like, do you have like a little UHF system? Hello? But like, it makes me wonder that, how much is this what we need and what we actually genuinely want versus how much is this, I got to stress about resale, or how much of this is I got to have something better than everyone else I know. Rather than intrinsically, how do we live as a family? How do we live in society? And what do we actually need? So I'm not saying, hey, go and build a 130 square meter house, because that's fine. But, from a price standpoint, if we want to talk about alleviating some of our issues, consider how big of a house you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people just throw numbers out there and I look at them like, what are you doing in there?
Yeah.
Have en-suites that are 12 square meters.
Yeah.
And you're just like, shit, all right.
Yeah.
Or the living areas, 3 and 4. If you look at new house designs and what's coming up in like, these project build space, 3 and 4 living areas is normal. And I'm just sitting there going like, do you guys, and like, this isn't a judgment, but like, do you guys ever talk to each other? Like, do you see your kids?
Yeah.
Because
parents' room, kids' room.
Yeah, parents retreat, kids retreat, lounge room, media room, all sit on different TVs. I was like, what's your electricity bill? That's my real question. I'm a tight ass, so I hate having to spend money on that. I don't spend that much money. Yeah, well, frugal, we'll call it. Frugal. But that's the kind of key question. And I think, you look at some of these places that we're talking about, like whether it's luxury or even, whatever it might be, the key is like, do you want to spend $2.5 million on something to have, like, who's cleaning it? Who's cleaning it?
Yeah.
Who's paying for it? Who's enjoying the space? How separated are you as a family?
Yeah.
And like, if that's how your family works, then great, good on you.
Yeah.
But like, I think we have kind of started to get it as like a show pony.
Yeah.
Our houses are a show pony, not something that we need to live in to enjoy and afford and live comfortably. But it's like, I've got to have this grand facade and this big ass house to tell people that that's where I live.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why? And then you're under financial stress. Not everyone, but like a lot of people I know. A lot of people, I think, genuinely in society are under it. And they've always got to go, you've got to have bigger, you've got to have better. And you're like, nah. You don't.
And look, if you look at what the RBA are saying and everything like that, looks like we're going to get another one. It's going to get harder. I think it's going to be around. Yeah, I've never understood that same thing, Emily. And I think it is certainly, while we started with real estate, everything, this actually podcast.
It plays into real estate as well.
Pretty deep. We got into, mental health and the ripple effect and then how it all adds to the impact. And that's where, I don't know where I was going, and I'm not having a shot at the real estate game, but when I have a look at this drop fee thing too, and also tied into what we talked about, I'm like, has there been a level of, gouging by them that has brought about?
I think it's a 2-part system.
Stuff.
So like, I'll give real estate agents credit where credit is due. I know lots of great real estate agents. Sometimes you can say to them, this is the money I am anticipating from market value. And they'll go, nah, I want more money.
Yeah.
So that also happens. It's not always just the real estate going, hey, like, I think we're only going to be here, when they have the expectation that you're sitting at peak level and you want to see the same growth that happened. So I think it's a multi-part system. Yes, there's definitely people out there that are going, yep, I want to win, I want to win this job. So I'm going to tell them I'm going to be able to get this amount of money in this amount of time. And then they can't succeed. That definitely happens. It's like what happens in building, right?
Yeah.
I can get it for you for this much money, but I actually can't. But then you have the other factor of like people who have owned these properties, whether it's for 5 years, 10 years or whatever, and have seen this succinct growth time and time again, that don't want to let go of that. And still want to go out and say, I want this much money. Just take it to market and see what happens. And then
they'll leave it on for 2 years.
And then you have this shit.
Yeah. this shit go on.
Yeah. And then people go, well, obviously, if it's sat there for this long, why the fuck would I pay that much money? That's just stupid of me. So it can be a real negative. If you don't price appropriately as it comes to market, people start to get sus. I do. I look at it and I'm like, why is this, if this house is so great and it's reasonable priced, why is it sitting here for so long? If it's like a, $10, $15 million property, you're like, okay, there's a niche market for it. It takes time. But if we're talking about a $2 million property and it was priced appropriately, fair chance it's going to still go very quickly.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then why?
Yeah. I think you just dropped a hint to drop B.
Drop B.
You said.
Did you hear my hint?
I'm going to drop it to him.
What is it?
We've been talking on Reddit. Well, I've been talking to you.
I missed my own
you
hint.
said it'd be good to put dates, how long they've been staying on market, seeing what's going on. I think that's a factor in there as well. And then you can kind of tell from
it's
they over asking.
Yeah, see, it doesn't have enough. Maybe it does if you click into it. I don't know.
No,
but some context.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Some context around it would be really cool.
But I didn't know if this was a.
I think it's a cool site.
I think if it was a useful tool for people like yourself in the builder broker space or builders to have a look around the area. Do you think it would be helpful?
I think it would.
Yeah,
I think it definitely. I think it's helpful for everyone potentially.
Yeah,
it's helpful for potentially, like, this is the other part of it that I look at from like a developer and a feasibility standpoint for these small subdivisions. If you're expecting, what are you doing your feaso on? Because the feasibility has to be obviously on current land cost and what's happening around it, but it also has to rely on pre-established market.
Yeah.
How does that impact? Because people have been paying a lot of money for DA sites.
Yeah.
And if they've held them long enough, over the past 2 years, it's fine. But anyone buying now, where are we sitting in that space? Because are we going our feasibility off where sitting in the current market at current land costs and current pre-established, and then you're also buying it at current price? Like what happens there? I think that's interesting. It all connects to each other. As much as people think it's all very separate, pre-established versus, new builds, they're very ingrained.
Tied in. And that's what I'm learning from you.
Very,
in that last
very
episode.
ingrained.
You know what I mean?
And if you're not aware of that, you're just blind.
You need to be educated on it, don't you?
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
And I'm definitely no real estate mogul. I'm no saying, hey, I know, there are some people who know so much that I'm like, let's watch on YouTube, let's listen on Insta and podcasts that I'm slowly learning from to share their knowledge about what's happening in the market over the past 20 and 30 years. There's some great people out there. But then you've got to understand how it ties in to this industry, because it is a very clear-cut, direct line as to what happens. Yeah.
I love it. Well, there you go. From the best builder broker in Australia.
Fuck, all right.
There you go. No, why not? You're on. Maybe. You're on the good builder. That's why we have you here. This is a bit of a insight into the real estate and a whole bunch of other cool stuff that I really love talking about.
We did get deep, didn't we?
Builders, go and check out Drop B. And
definitely.
I'll put this out on YouTube. We're going to put some videos to it. As I was clicking through it, I'll put those videos up in line with what we were talking about. But some really interesting stuff going on in real estate. I think something you got to keep across, something Emily does. And I think will help you with your feasibilities and just understanding where you're building in that local market and the prices that are happening.
And even for the builders who are doing packages on allocations, we know that there's been market uplift and if you're on put and calls, this is a lot would happen, right? You take it at the value of when you put your put and call in, and then you're doing your uplift and you're sitting at these points. How are you determining that market uplift? Because some people, it seems, are pissing in the wind and just figuring it out as they go, and then it doesn't sell, and then they have a pricing correction. Is that rain? I don't know.
Oh, it wasn't rain.
No, it was not rain. But that's what I would be looking at, particularly in my space. That's the conversations I'm having with people of going, okay, you've determined what market uplift you've had off this. Is that true? Is that true now? Or are you upping your build price to this amount? Are you concerned about contracts not meeting? And what are you doing here? So it'll be interesting. I'm excited.
A lot of good tips right there. Em. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Once again, I'd have to say thanks, Emil, because you're a regular now. So, but I do. I really thank for everything.
I have to thank you for having me, letting me come back and make fun of you.
No, it's fine. Thank you for everything that you do here. And check it out, builders. Dropb.au. See if it helps you understand what's going on.
And if you own Drop B,
get in touch.
Tell us, get in touch. Tell us how long things have been on the market. What are you doing?
Otherwise, if you're got a cashed up builder and you're looking for a house in Noosa Springs, one just dropped by $1 million. So,
5.25, baby.
It looks pretty good too on 1,500 square meters of land. I'll take the comms on that one, whoever has that in real estate. All right. We'll catch you next time, next Monday. And we're going to talk something else.
Perfect.
See ya.
Bye.